Thanks for listening to The Adam Carolla Show on Podcast One.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're specializing in keeping your car on the road. Not sure how much life is left on that battery? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Their professional parts people will test your battery. They'll do it for free. If it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right battery to fit your car. Superstart batteries exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts are designed to meet the electrical demands of today's vehicles. Get dependable power and performance from a Superstart battery for your car, truck, motorcycle, lawnmower, boat, and more. Love my Superstart battery. Oh, yeah, I have them. Why wouldn't I? Got so many damn cars. I need the best batteries. It's built to handle even the toughest conditions, and it can get really hot or it can get really cold. You need a quality battery. You don't want to be stuck out there. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts today, and their professional parts people can help you find the exact battery for your vehicle. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Streaming only on Peacock, a new original comedy.
Me in a punk band?
We Are Lady Parts.
A confused mix of hash anthems and sour girl power.
You puked all over the front row. Ew.
We Are Lady Parts. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
Hello and welcome to Carolla Classics for Saturday, July 10th, 2021. You know how the show goes. We're going to play highlights of the Adam Carolla Show. My name's Chris Loxamana, the executive producer of the Adam Carolla Show. And with me, as always, Carolla archivist, superfan Giovanni.
I didn't get to go to Alaska. They sent me to Antarctica.
I know, you went. Well, we had to cover both poles. And yeah, look, I'm happy you went though, and thank you. Hope you enjoyed the Penguins. Let's get going with our clips today. We're gonna go back all the way to the first year of the podcast, September of 2009, where Adam was hanging out with one Australian who is also on the other side of the world, Jim Jeffries.
Adam Carolla Show, episode 145. It's from September of 2009. Jim's making his second appearance on the podcast. This may be the one where Adam drove him to the airport afterwards, or it may have been his first visit. Adam and Jim were fast friends. Check it out.
The Chinese and the Japanese, I know this from living in Australia, are fucking mad for koalas and kangaroos.
They are.
Oh!
They love them.
Love them. Love them.
Yeah.
We give them to them. There's
Right.
like 10 koalas and a kangaroo.
Go ahead.
Enjoying that.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
I know.
Here's an albino one. It's very rare.
Why are they so stingy with their bears?
That's true.
And then why are we going along? And then like every once in a while they want one back, or they give us a list of names that we can choose, like sanctioned names.
I thought it came with its Ling Ling name.
No, we'll get to name it, but they give us a list, and Todd is not on the list.
No. Well, I tell you, I went to a school that was half Oriental. Well, you can't say Oriental in this country, do you? Asian.
Yeah.
Half Asian. And the thing was that all the Asian kids, they'd come over. They're a bit older than us, and they'd come over because their dad was working in some company in Sydney, and they'd come to the school. And they'd have names like Oriental Asian names.
Right.
But then they'd always decide to give themselves an English name. So they'd be like 17 years old and I'll give myself an English name. But what they do is they always name themselves like Felix or Zach because they've been watching Saved by the Bell.
Right.
You know what I mean? They were never called Jeff and Tim.
Slater, Zach, Screech, come here. You're going to be late for algebra class.
They all had those, and all the girls are called Millie and Molly and Wendy.
I went to school with many Asians that had crazy, simple Anglo names. It seems it's weird when you see that chick that looked like she just got off the boat, but her name is Mary. Yeah. Her name isn't really Mary. And I don't know what there's got to be a sort of name that has a dusting of ethnicity to it, but it's not quite like, she doesn't sound like someone from the 50s, like Madge.
There's the argument, if I moved to China, would I change my name to Mei Peng?
Right.
Which was actually...
If you were a panda bear, you'd have to.
Mei Peng, where's it? Oh, that's the bird that John Lennon left Yoko Ono for.
Really?
Yeah, that's the one that he left for a year.
Oh, the bird.
Yeah, the girl, not the bird.
Well,
yeah.
I don't... I know John. I know in everyone's mind, John Lennon is such a hero and such a visionary and such a whatever. But I'm the only guy on the planet that feels like most of his solo stuff sucked. Like George Harrison's solo stuff was a lot better than John Lennon's, and a lot of that stuff was just drug-fueled shit. And then the other part of it was he never stopped talking about how much he loved Yoko, except for he was fucking everything else.
Yeah.
Two.
But this whole thing that he has this lost weekend in LA, which was 2 years or whatever.
Right.
That he just left New York and came to LA and just hung out.
I know it's sacrilegious, but if you listen to John Lennon's solo shit, a lot of it is just that shit. It's
there is Woman, Watching the Wheels, Imagine.
Yeah.
These are good songs, but
but a lot of it is just him high banging on the piano, yelling how much he loves Yoko.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't like Panda Bears, but nuts about John Lennon. But, so the whole thing is...
John Lennon,
all right, well, the point is this. He loves Yoko so much, quit fucking other chicks.
Yeah, but he only really got caught... He went off with the other, but that was his assistant, the other one, May Peng. That was the last photo of them together, that one where he's naked in a coital sort of thing.
I don't need that photo.
But he was a bad dad, wasn't he?
He wasn't... Here's the whole thing about John Lennon. He loved Yoko, except for he fucked around on her a lot.
But that doesn't mean you don't love a person if you fuck around on them. All right. I mean, every girl I've ever dated will right now be angry listening to this.
And then he only talked about love, except for he didn't do a great job with his oldest son. It wasn't around
a terrible dad.
Very much for him. I mean, and he talked about speed. I mean, here's the thing. I just think it's really easy just to walk around and go, hey, man, how about peace? How about love? How about peace and love? How about peace and love? I love my wife so much. And then everyone just gives you a pass after that. Well, you don't have to take care of your kid, and you can fuck around on your wife, and you can slam as many drugs as you want. But as long as you talk about peace and love all the time.
This is why he was shot, quintessentially, because Mark Chapman thought that he was a phony.
Really?
Yeah, that's why. It was The Catcher in the Rye, The Phony Must Die, all that type of bollocks, right?
We don't read books in the United States.
I got my John Lennon story. I was in New York.
But he thought he was a phony. That's why
he thought he was a phony, because he was a big fan of his, and all this, like, Imagine that, because basically Imagine's a song of communism. Everyone should have an equal amount and all that type of stuff, right? Yeah. This guy was really into it, and then he finds out that John Lennon's a member of every exclusive members club in New York. And this guy's like, what? This guy isn't a fun-loving hippie. He's a money-grabbing,
I'm the same. I know it's heresy. George Heresy. Yeah, I like George Harrison. But I just feel the same way about Lennon. I mean, I wouldn't go shoot him, but I just feel like he's talking about imagine no possessions, and he's driving around a gold Rolls Royce.
Yeah, he did have a pretty...
Everything's about, I love Yoko so much, and I'm going to bang this chick. Oh, no, you don't need possessions. Yeah, except for I have this exclusive membership in this club, and I'm driving around in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And so Chapman...
Well, I went to the Dakota building in New York where John Lennon was shot. I think a lot of tourists do. And I just went to see where that little archway was. And there's so Mark David Chapman, he arrives 2 hours before John Lennon leaves the building, holding The Catcher in the Rye. John Lennon leaves the building.
He's holding an issue of The Catcher
in the Rye, and he's holding the album of Double Fantasy, which had just come out, right? Mm-hmm. Which was a new album. Now he waits. There's a famous photo of John Lennon is signing Chapman's photo, and the two of them are in the same thing. And then and Lennon goes, what, do you want anything else? And he just sort of stands there eerily. And then John Lennon fucks off in his car. He's gone for 3 hours. Chapman sits on this step for 3 hours. And eventually Lennon comes back, and then Lennon goes through the thing, and he empties out every bullet out of the gun into his back, right?
Right.
Then he goes and sits back on that step with The Catcher of the Rye and the gun and the album that's now covered with blood that still exists. There's the photo there.
Right.
And he waits for 15 minutes before the cops get there, right?
Right.
Now, I go onto that same step out the front, and I sit down, I get my friend to take a photo of me, and two security guys just aggressively come up and go, get off the step. Really? And I'm like... I'm just sitting,
sitting.
And the guy, I'm just sitting, I just want a quick photo, mate. And the guy goes, get off the step. And then physically one of them lifts me up by my collar off the step, right? And I said, where the fuck were you 28 years ago? Right? Then it all kicked off, and I had to leave.
Yeah, well, there's probably a fair amount of people that want to, probably just like the same ones that want to take their shoes off and cross Abbey Road or whatever and reenact those famous pictures.
That road, I lived very close to that road in London.
Is that Abbey Road, or is that just where the studio Abbey Road?
No, Abbey Road is the road. The studio is called Abbey Road. The funny thing is, everyone goes on the wrong crossing. There's two crossings about 20, 30 metres apart. Everyone walks on the wrong one.
Oh, really?
They go on the one right out the front of the building. They actually went on the one further down the road.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so most holiday makers have got the wrong photo. But
I like that, holiday makers. I like that title. People on holiday.
Holiday makers. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, so the other thing that's weird about Chapman, if you think about just how weird, sad life is, Chapman tried to commit suicide in Hawaii.
Right.
And
if you're depressed there, you're not going to last anywhere else.
You're not going to last 10 minutes in Riverside, California, or Baker, if Maui ain't cutting it for you.
Yeah. But sometimes that can be the thing. At least if you're living in a shithole, you can always think there's a better world out there.
Right.
If you're living in that's why...
if you live in a paradise and you're still miserable...
It's the Kurt Cobain theory.
Right.
I got everything I want, and it's still a bit
shit. I'm still miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chapman goes and kills himself, essentially decides to kill himself. And he parks his car at the beach, and he's going to watch the sunrise, and he starts his car up, and he's going to kill himself, probably take some pills or something, but he's going to do carbon monoxide poisoning. But a solid way to kill you. I've had carbon monoxide poisoning, and it's the way to go for anyone who's thinking about killing themselves. And so there he is, staring at the surf, car parked, dawn, 5 in the morning or something, and he's dying, and a fucking guy who's doing surf fishing. It's one of those assholes who won't use the pier or boat. Those guys who go out stand in the water and cast their line into the ocean, especially when you're swimming or something. It's always weird. Like, how fucking desperate for fish are you that you can't go to a lake? But anyway, a surf fisherman finds him and rescues him. Yeah, we got the story pulled up. Hold on. Is that? Yeah? And then he gets hired part-time at a hospital, and he gets his shit together, and then he comes out to New York, and he kills. So
really, this
Lennon.
Fly fisherman killed John Lennon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wonder if this guy feels any guilt.
I don't know. That shit happens all the time where somebody says, "Look, if not for your actions, John Lennon would still be alive." And by the way, it's ironic that your actions were saving a guy's life. Yeah. But now another life is gone, and a much more important life.
You wonder whether anyone ever saved Hitler's life at a young age.
I'm sure.
Like a Jewish man who worked there.
Yeah. Well, if he was a doctor, there's a better than not chance. He woke groggy, he was alive. It was a Japanese fisherman.
Ah.
Well, there you go.
But because he had a...
probably named Brian.
He had an Oriental bride as well, didn't he? Because he sort of emulated everything that Lennon did, Chapman.
Yeah, he was tapping on the window. He brought him back to life. Well, the thing about Hitler, I never really thought about it, but you just thought about it for me. Hitler was a hero of World War I, and he was injured. He sustained some fairly significant injuries.
So someone saved him somewhere along the line.
And it's not like I said, it's not like all the doctors in Germany are Middle Eastern guys. I mean, they probably passed through a Jewish doctor or two. There was probably some point where 22-year-old Adolf was being pulled off the battlefield in World War I, and somebody was bringing him back to life.
But his hatred of the Jews probably hadn't even manifested at that stage, probably, because the thing is, it was a lot to do with when the after World War I, when they went into their deep depression, where money was worth nothing, and then everyone started to blame. You know what I mean? That's. I don't know. You're not born with a hatred of Jews, are you? It has to take time, right?
I don't know. I felt like I hated Jews when I was, a toddler.
I thought you're Jewish, are you?
No, I'm just a comedian with curly hair. No, I could remember hating Jews, when I was, very, very young. I hated them probably.
I always find it funny when you meet anti-Semitic Australians, because we don't have any Jews.
Oh, you
it's
don't
like,
have Jews.
how hard are you working to hate people? It's like people who hate black people in Australia. The Aboriginals are like 1% of the population. That's a lot of effort you're putting in.
Yeah, you're really burning calories. You have no Jews to hate yet. And it's weird. It's like it's like saying I hate sushi, but there's no sushi restaurants in my town. Like, so what? So who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, just live with it. Carry on. Like, the only Jewish people I ever met growing up were South African.
Oh, really?
And no one needs a reason to hate South Africans. They could be any religion.
Right.
Right. They're an odd bunch.
Never thought about that. Growing up in a place with no Jews.
No, this whole stereotypical, like the curly-haired accountancy-looking guy, I never met one of those until I was in my 20s.
My whole thing, and you have no Mexicans either.
No, I don't have any Mexicans.
So, geez, you're really off the hook. So you just have to start drinking and hating each other. I guess.
There's a lot. Lebanese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't like the Lebanese. When I was a kid, it was the Greeks and the Italians we didn't like.
Sure.
And now we're all on board with them.
Right.
We like them. Yeah, they're all right. And, everyone, the Arabs, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, they always get it,
That's a layup.
We always think that the terrorists are coming to get us. We
Sure.
thought we were next.
Listen, Australia's no good because there's not enough. They're not populated enough.
20 million people and no one cares.
And not only that, but 20 million people spread out over a place the size of,
Well, we're not spread out. About 15 million of them are on the east coast, all bunched up.
What size is Australia?
It's as big as North America.
Right.
Not as big as the United States of America, not North America.
The point is there's not a lot of people. I know they're bunched up in one place.
Yeah,
but still,
we're like a puzzle where you've just made the border.
Right?
Oh, right.
And
you haven't filled the middle bit.
No one's in the middle.
Yeah, there's nothing in the middle. It's just desert. It's shit. It's complete and utter crap.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you the good news. I keep telling the terrorists this. Don't bother bombing Los Angeles. You're just going to kill a bunch of Mexicans and Lebanese and Filipinos. You're not going to get whitey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go to Cleveland and have a good go at it.
No, go to Australia is basically what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm saying, look, terrorists, you want to kill the blue-eyed devil, not the brown-eyed, brown-skinned devil. You put a dirty bomb in the middle of downtown L.A., you're barely going to get any white people.
Well,
they
had a go at Australia, but it was an attack on a nightclub in Bali. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Because all the Australians holiday in Bali because we haven't got enough nice-looking places to holiday.
Right.
We got to venture a bit further.
Right. I remember the Bali attack.
Yeah, the Bali.
Yeah.
So that's Australia. It's all in that bit on the side.
Yeah, we're just
all
looking
through the middle is fucking rubbish. Now, see Western Australia there.
Yeah.
Off to the west, obviously.
Right.
That whole state.
Yeah.
That's 1.5 million.
1.5.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Right.
Nothing.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, there's populated areas. I'm just saying, but not a lot of bang for your buck.
No.
I just think you got to look for populated areas. And again, terrorists, please, no L.A. You're not going to get any white people.
You can still, if you can fuck up Sydney, blow up the Opera House, make a big statement, smash that bridge down.
Yeah, they're the bridge. Yeah, that's right.
That would make the news.
Get a landmark.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So I can't remember.
I don't mean to help the terrorists if the terrorists are listening, but
no.
Be a bit imaginative.
Yeah.
Put some effort in. I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of hearing about. Every time I do an anti-terrorist joke, people always say that it's racist. It's not racist. It's a religion.
Right.
It's not a race. Mm-hmm. And you can be anti-religious. It's just bigoted in a way.
Yeah.
But, and then that's what I was saying before, is like, you've got this little bit of paper here, and it says that I'm an atheist. And I hate the fact that, as an atheist, I'm brought into the whole argument of religion, when I don't even think there is an argument. There is no God, there is no nothing. That's it.
I know. They act like we're burning calories being atheists.
Yeah.
I burn as many calories being an atheist as I do thinking about Martians.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't exist. So I don't give a shit, or a Yeti, or the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Don't exist, don't care, don't burn any calories on it. I don't go out and I don't go out and go like, hey, are you part of that anti-Santa Claus and Easter Bunny group? Are you one of them? Are you going to march, or do you have that group? It's like, there's no Santa, there's no Easter Bunny, and there's no Loch Ness Monster, and I don't give a shit.
Well,
that's where I'm at.
The
atheists did it to themselves, though.
Because
they were like, they want "In God We Trust" taken off the dollar bills, and they want this stupid cross that's on the, Los Angeles or California crest. There's a cross that's on it because it was settled, had missions, and they want that taken off the coffee mugs. And so what they've done is they've drawn attention to themselves because they're a pain in the ass. Because there's two types of atheists. There's the Jim Jeffries, Adam Carolla atheist, which is, we're just smart, reasonable, rational people that don't give a shit, and I don't believe in anything unless there's some proof provided, and no one has provided any proof.
Sure.
So thus we don't believe. And then there's the, my dad was a born-again Christian and used to sodomize me atheist. That's the one with the fucking chip on his shoulder.
It's that whole thing, that bus that he said there's probably not a God or something, and they wanted to put up that in Canada.
Right.
You hear that story?
Yes.
Yeah. But it's all, I was doing a gig in Miami, and because I mentioned in the HBO special that I do it for laughs, not to I guess to prove a point, but not to fucking change anyone's mind. I don't think anyone's mind's ever been changed in religion because of a bit of a stand-up, you know what I mean?
Well, look, if you're willing to believe in something that there's no proof of and doesn't exist, then I can't change your mind with rational conversation.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
already you're so fucked up, so stupid, or so entrenched in this.
As a stand-up, I'm just preaching to the converted when I go on this. So this guy comes along now because of the special. I did most of my religious stuff on the special, so now when I do shows, I'm not repeating any jokes off the special because I assume a lot of the audience have already seen it. I don't want to give them all the old jokes, right?
Right.
So I'm doing a different hour. This guy comes along who's a member of the anti-atheist group. Now that, to me, is already stupid because you're a member of an anti-atheist. That's just being religious. You don't need it. So he's a Christian, and then on top of it, he's a member of another group that's anti-atheist. And you go...
I know. Just
we get it, mate.
Well, and the whole thing is just be a New England Patriots fan and wear their jersey and wear their hats and go to their games.
And
you don't have to be an anti-Cleveland Browns fan and go after the Cleveland Browns. Just wear your fucking Tom Brady jersey and call it a life, you idiot.
Yeah. So this guy, he comes along with a little placard that says Jesus, a little bit of cardboard that says Jesus loves you. And he's waiting through the whole show for me to do this religious stuff.
Right.
And the staff knew he was in, but they didn't want to tell me because they thought it would be funny, right? So I sit there. And then I get to the end of the show, I've done an hour on stage, and I'm like, I haven't talked about Jesus at all. And I go like this, I go, well, that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. And then he just stands up, Jesus loves you! But I hadn't mentioned religion the whole time, so it's out of context.
Right.
So the audience is going, oh, that's nice. It's nice that Jesus loves him. Why wouldn't he?
I don't know where this thing is. Well, first off, this notion that we have to be so respectful and so reverent around other people and their religion.
Priests and nuns. It's a weird thing. If a nun gets on a bus, my brain is still fucking programmed from my childhood to like give up a seat for a nun or something like that, right?
And we can't.
Fuck them.
I know. And
fuck it. I haven't met one person who went to a Catholic school, especially in some place like Ireland or Britain. I don't know many Catholic schools over here, who has a nice word to say about nuns.
I've never heard a good... Although I feel like the good nuns need a publicist because they never hear anything good about them.
I've never heard the nuns at my school were so nice, and you could tell them anything, and they were just...
salt of the earth.
And they weren't sadistic in any way.
They never judge.
They never called me and my friends sluts because we, just... I feel like a lot of nuns and a lot of priests, and that's probably why there's a lot of pedophiles in it, they're just people who didn't get laid in high school.
Of course.
Right? Because if you get laid a lot in high school by good-looking women, you've already found God in a way.
Yes.
You don't
inside the pussy of a 14-year-old. Yeah. You don't really want to go. No, there's no reason. Of course. Of course it's the... Yeah, look, when
you're not giving that up because you've got a higher calling.
When you're getting laid a lot in high school, you're not into anything except for pussy. Like, you ain't into math, you ain't into sports, you ain't into joining the priesthood.
It seems that God always finds the person, the meek.
Right.
He always finds the person who's got nothing else going on in his life. I think a lot of people who become priests and nuns and stuff, it's an out.
Yes.
From getting a real job and from being a real person and fucking, you know what I mean?
The secular version of that is meter maid. It's like, I suck. I don't work with my hands. My dad doesn't have a business I can go into. I'm not brave enough to be a cop or fireman.
I want respect.
I think I'll just write fucking tickets for a living. It becomes this bullshit catch-all, fuck it, I got nothing better to do.
I the same thing about people who park. Did you call it meter maid?
Well, they'd like us to call them parking enforcement personnel, but I don't find that degrading enough.
See, in Australia we call them parking attendants, and meter maids.
Meter maid is degrading.
Meter maids is this thing that they brought in. I think they've had it banned, but it's from my childhood. And see if you can get a picture up on this. It's on the Gold Coast in Queensland. Mm-hmm. And what would happen is they would get these hot girls in golden bikinis.
Really?
And high heels, wearing like Australian sort of cowboy hat type of things to keep the sun off them. And then they'd wear a sash over them, things that could be like Ted's Rib Hut. Right, who would sponsor these girls to walk around with a satchel of coins and top up everyone's meeting.
Really?
So it was like everyone, like there's the hot chick and they're doing a nice thing for the community, fuck the government. And then like, oh yeah, I'm going to Ted's Meat Hut because they're good guys.
Right.
And this is a form of advertising that costs maybe $5 an hour.
Right.
These girls with these coins.
Right. Now, did they outlaw it?
I haven't seen it since I was a kid in the 80s.
They outlawed that here. There was a guy who went along and fed everyone's meter. And, of course, they made it illegal, which is, of course, insane. And here's...
The meter maid is still popular in Surfers Paradise culture. The scheme is being run as a private enterprise. There we go. Can we get any pics of them? You got to see what these things look like.
Well,
if anyone's at home
listening off. Here's all I want to say about the meter maids. Our meter maids.
They're the girls.
Wow, they're hot.
Yeah, they're just walking around. I remember my dad once walking into a pole when I was a kid. Like he turned to look at one and just did that classic...
into a pole?
That classic sort of slapstick... Dong, like that. And me and my brothers just... it's the funniest thing. See, that's from the 60s, that picture there.
Yeah, golden bikini, sash. God, Australia, what a great place.
What a great...
Of course. Speaking of religion...
Look, that's what they look like now.
Oh, they're hot.
It's fantastic.
Here's the deal. This is why the Muslim religion sucks. You think they'd have anything like this?
No.
And okay, a couple things. First off, the meter maid thing. You know, here's I was saying to someone the other day, you know these people have quotas. Here we do this whole thing goes, oh, do they have quotas? Don't they have quotas? Here's how you know they have quotas. They're government employees. Every other faction of government employee moves like fucking three-toed tree sloths. I mean, on a quaalude. You go to the DMV, you see people drag their ass. You call, like, Department of whatever and tell them to come out to the house. They go, oh, we'll be there between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. You know, we'll give you a 12-hour window. Everything that has to do with the government and everybody that's getting paid by the government is super slow, super lazy, super lethargic, and super apathetic. Yeah. And so when you have to go in and deal with them, it's like talking to a guy who's literally been sucking off an ether rag. Yeah. Now, parking enforcement, these guys hop out of their car and run.
They love it.
They're on the fucking job. They're Johnny on the spot. Is there anything else that the city provides where these guys are actually efficient and moving?
Yeah.
You leave your car on Melrose, you run into a fucking store and buy a comb and run out again, there'll be a ticket on it. What other facet of this government operates with that kind of silky smooth efficiency? None. Totally. There's none other, doesn't exist. Thus, these guys have quotas. Because the second somebody said to these guys, look, go out, and if you write a ticket, you write a ticket, and if you don't, you don't. You'd see these guys sleeping in their cars, possibly fucking each other on their cars, drinking in their cars. You would be driving up through Los Angeles. You'd be passing these guys in their Chevettes, and they'd just be on their fifth Mickey's Big Mouth, right? You'd see them sleeping in their cars.
I have no pity for whenever you like call one of them a bottom feeder or something like that. You will always have someone go, "Oh, it's a job and someone has to do it." Yeah, no, I get the fact that someone has to do it, but this person fucking chose to do it.
They deserve everything that we can throw at them.
Because there's plenty of jobs in the world. I'm not of the description that there's a short workplace and we've got high unemployment. I know we do, but I'm a fucking moron and I've never had a problem getting a job.
And that was Jim Jeffries back in 2009. And as Gio said, became fast friends. Love whenever Jim comes on. It's always a treat. It's one of my favorites. All right, before we get going with our next clip, a few announcements. First off, if you want to request a clip, it's very easy to do so. You just email us, classics@adamcarolla.com, or you could find us on Instagram at Giovanni Giorgio or at Chris Loxamano1.
The number one.
Yeah, and let us know what you want to hear. Also, Adam is doing some live shows. He's going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina this next weekend. So make sure to get your tickets. It's July 16th and 17th, Raleigh, North Carolina. Go to adamcarolla.com for your tickets there. Also, my band is playing at the Pike in Long Beach, July 30th, and then the Prospector in Long Beach, July 31st. So come out and request your Corolla Classics clips at those shows as well. And one last thing, want to remind everybody about Tommy John. That's right, Apollo is Tommy John's newest and most advanced men's underwear yet, with a performance-grade dry-release fabric blend that is exclusive to Tommy John. It's Tommy John's latest comfort innovation, and you can't get it anywhere else. Apollo men's underwear is proven to keep you drier and up to 7 degrees cooler than regular cotton underwear, and that's why Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. In fact, they have a super fanatic right here. It's Giovanni.
I already knew about the Apollo because they sent me an email, and I'm already going to pre-order some of those because I want some myself.
Oh, yeah. It's soft, it's supportive, it stretches for the perfect fit every day. And, like all Tommy John underwear, Apollo comes with the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free, guarantee, and we got a great deal for you. Tell them about it, Gio.
Yeah, right now, get 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/classics. Go to TommyJohn.com/classics for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/classics. See site for details.
All right, we're going to go to our second clip here, and this is also from 2009, but August, and it's going to have Teresa Strasser and Bald O'Brien.
Adam Carolla Show 133, original format Adam Carolla podcast. However, on Tuesdays, they would do live shows like the old radio format like we listen to today. And this is one of the very early ones with Teresa Strasser, Bald Bryan. This one's August of 2009. This is part 1. Part 2 will be played as the first clip tomorrow in the Corolla Classics feed, so make sure to subscribe so you get a whole two parts tomorrow as well. Until then, check out this opening with Teresa and Bryan.
We have Teresa Strasser doing the news. Bald Bryan is here to give us an update and hang with us and jump in on the news. And before we get to the news, let's just see how everyone's health is. Brian, how you feeling?
Actually, pretty good this week. Last week was chemo week, so I actually did 5 days worth of pills, 400 milligrams a day of chemotherapy, and it was tough, man. It was made me sleepy and tired and all those things, and I feel better. Last one was Friday, so I've been off pills since Friday, and feel better.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you heard about it, but I kind of got into it with Engineer Anderson doing Loveline last week. If you caught wind of that horrible argument I had with him on the air.
What happened?
Well, what happened was I was giving out your website.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you, because the listeners have been very generous. And
you mean an inconvenienttumor.com?
And
no.
highbrian.com.
Highbrian.com.
Yes, both.
B-R-Y.
As in
Y. As in Y. That's how I spell it. B-R-Y-A-N.
That was big in 78.
And I was giving your website out, and Anderson kept interrupting, and then he kept calling you a brown noser, and basically said you're a world-class ass kisser.
True.
And then kept saying that you owed him $150 every time I would give the website out and say, please give generously. And then at a certain point, I'd reached my saturation level. And so we just started arguing on the air for about 15 minutes. And then eventually...
I heard Dag involved.
David Allen Greer eventually got up and left.
Really?
Yeah, in the middle of the show. Well, not the middle of the show, in the middle of the argument, which was toward the end of the show. I couldn't figure out why this guy was arguing with me when I was trying to give out your website and raise some money, and I couldn't stand the label of brown noser for Brian Bishop. look at you as anything but a brown noser.
I feel like I've done a fair amount of disagreeing with you over the years.
I would say on the air and off the air, I don't. Let's take music for example. Right. I don't think I've ever gotten you to come around on any of my musical proclamations, and vice versa.
Your opinions.
Yes, even if you don't value them.
True.
The point is,
before I dismiss them, I respect them briefly.
I kept saying he's not a brown noser. He argues with me about quite a few things quite often.
Yeah.
And I did not like the idea that he was labeling you a brown noser, but I was really just angry that he was arguing with me when I was trying to give out your goddamn website.
His timing seems really douchey, especially because I thought you guys were friends.
I say, full disclosure, Anderson and I are good friends. We actually went out on Friday and saw District 9 on opening day.
How was it?
He liked it better than I did.
Okay.
I thought it was only okay. I gave it a B-.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're such a brown noser, you would disagree with. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait.
But generally good. But yes, you guys are friends.
Yes.
So I'm not sure why he just kept calling you an ass kisser.
Anderson
and a brown
loves
noser.
to aggravate.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a pot stirrer.
Yes.
Yes. I'd like someone to hit him with a fucking pot on his fucking head. It's driving me nuts.
I'd rather be a brown noser than a pot stirrer.
Well, also, just this idea, and again, maybe it's a sore subject for me, but I just can't stand that. Well, if you disagree with Adam, you're out.
Right.
Which, of course, my answer to that with Anderson is you would have fucking been fired the first fucking 5 minutes I fucking met you, you asshole. So, of course, you don't have to kiss my ass because you're living proof.
Meanwhile,
you don't have to kiss my ass.
He is Love Life's longest-running employee.
He's been there for 10 years, and I would have fired him the first fucking week I worked with him because he's such a douche. So, of course, you don't need to kiss my ass. You're sitting here. You're proof positive you don't need to kiss my ass. And by the way, nobody in that entire building ever kissed me or Drew's ass for the entire 11 years I was there.
Just imagine to you that Anderson and I are very, very polar opposite people. I think myself as pretty positive and fun-loving. Anderson is angry and likes to be a shitstormer.
He's a button pusher, too. Yeah. And I think he would mistake Brian. That the whole thing is Loveline for all those years was not very professional, and thus, as I've told you many times, I would have my hash settled by the phone screener. I would have junior producer Lauren come in and insult me, and basically everyone there should have been fired 1,000 times, and Brian was sort of the only one who actually just was sort of courteous, and thus maybe got labeled with the ass kisser.
Sure.
But then he told me you were fired from Loveline, which I forgot about. I said Brian was fired from Loveline.
My time had come, and I was asked to leave.
Why were you asked to leave?
I was actually on my way out anyway at the time. My time had expired. But I had asked to write a blog by a fan, and just sort of detailing what's going on in the background. And I was detailing what's going on in the background, and I was complaining about Drew and Adam and the producers. And then one day they were like, you can't write this anymore. Maybe your time here is coming.
Whoa, wait a second now. You see, now I should have used this for that douchebag Anderson, which is he said you got fired for writing shit about Drew.
But did you write about Adam?
Oh, yeah, both. Everything.
Right. So obviously that asshole conveniently left out the part where you're writing shit about me because it would have crapped all over his
and by the way,
ass-kissing.
Yeah, if you looked at it now in retrospect, it's very tame. Very tame.
I'm sure, but the whole idea that he's saying you're a brown noser, right, and then saying you got fired from Loveline, so how good an employee could you have been? But you got fired from Loveline for writing shit about me, the guy you're supposed to be brown nosing, nullifies your brown nose argument, right?
All I know is this is very upsetting because, Adam, I've rarely seen you as upset because I saw you the next day after this battle with Anderson. And before we sat down to do the podcast, I asked how you were doing, and you said, I'm emotionally drained. And then I thought, I don't know this Anderson, but now I don't like him.
Well, I was drained because I wanted to send people to your website. I wanted to raise money for you. And I just couldn't believe I was arguing with somebody about that process.
The timing is just so strange. Like, I'm trying to give out this website so people can donate because he's fighting cancer.
Anderson is obviously an asshole, but he's a liar. And that's the main thing. I don't mind him being an asshole. I have no problem with that. There's plenty of assholes out there. But he's lying, and I guess the fact he conveniently left out the part where you were talking shit about me as well as Drew is the part that makes him a liar.
Yeah, Brian, that's unlike you. I can't imagine you blogging and thinking that no one was going to find it.
I wasn't concerned. I wasn't really.
I didn't give a shit.
I
By
wasn't
the
really
way,
concerned at the time because A, it was fairly innocuous. It was fairly innocuous, and B, it was a fan of the show who said, "Would you mind just running a behind-the-scenes blog for my site?"
We just found it. The Loveline Companion, Brian's blog.
Well, maybe we can read that. T, get up on your feet. I know you're 19 months pregnant.
I'm in my 6th trimester.
But let's see what Brian actually said to get him relieved.
I'm sure one of the last ones.
Oh, we never found it, by the way. So it's not up there?
Fairly innocuous.
Oh, and you wrote a little goodbye. It's been an amazing and memorable 3 years. I've made lifelong friends, met incredibly cool celebrities, and got to work alongside two of the most talented people. Oh, that is brown nosy. Two of the most talented people in show business, Adam and Drew.
Got shit canned for talking smack.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout it all, I always felt like a fan who just got lucky. That's really sweet.
All right, so
I didn't know you did Jew or Asian. That sounds fun.
You got fired for talking shit about me and or Drew on a blog.
Sort of. I mean,
sort of.
We should go back and read them because they're very innocent.
But the point is enough to someone to make a case to let you go.
It nullifies the bread nosed argument.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It flies in the face of the bread nosed argument.
Right. All right.
And
well,
there
you go.
Funny coincidence.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we do. Maybe now we do have it. Yes.
Anderson, for that day, had to come back from cancer camp. He volunteers.
I know.
He's a conundrum.
He's a retarded Rubik's Cube. He's a Rubik's Cube of shit.
He's twisted.
Yes.
Oh, this is interesting. See, you gave away a little bit of inside scoop here. Red Letter Day in Loveline history. Drew and Adam asked for a male caller. This is literally in bold. The first time I've been asked to get a male caller compared with dozens of times I've been told, no more guys tonight. This is usually uttered 10 minutes into the show, by the way.
That's interesting.
All right. Wow.
All right, you gave away an inside secret.
I would have never fired you, buddy. You know me.
I realize that.
I didn't read blogs.
Because you were too busy reading all those books.
Yeah, the square things with the pages. All right, T-Bone.
Yeah.
Let's hear some news.
This is exciting. I'm glad you're here, Brian.
Let's do this.
This is courtesy of Mike Lynch, former Adam Carolla Show writer Mike Lynch, who sent this along. It could be one of the best, definitely not a juice ever.
Wow.
It's just that good.
I'm poised.
Okay. What happens when you're living in Florida, you're very hungry, you work at a restaurant, you're possibly on meth. I'll show you the lady's picture. She has kind of a meth face, but it's unclear what drug she's on.
Sunken cheek eyes.
Right. Yeah. Kind of fried blonde hair. Mm-hmm. This woman, Luann McKinley, Luann McKinley of Stuart, Florida, was working at a Perkins restaurant, and she stole some bacon. Mm-hmm. And by some, I mean 3 pounds. Mm-hmm. A coworker
raw or cooked?
Does not say, but I'm guessing cooked.
Never know.
You couldn't transport 3 pounds of cooked bacon.
Right.
You need a stake bed truck. I mean, once it's cooked, it really doesn't weigh anything. I mean, you would need a pallet jacket. 3 pounds of cooked bacon is a barrel full of bacon. Yeah, it's a lot of bacon. So it doesn't stack evenly either.
No, this is good because I'm a vegetarian, so I'm not good with the meat.
Pre-cooking weight.
So she takes the 3 pounds of bacon from the Perkins restaurant where she used to work. Imagine she's been let go. She stuffed it in her purse, and then a coworker reported the theft, and the police tracked her down. They looked in her bag. Sure enough, 3 pounds of bacon and drugs.
Oh.
So now she faces charges on drug and theft.
Journey.
By the way, that's a gold mine for the canine dog. You know, who's
yeah.
Normally just smelling junkies and getting stabbed with syringes and sniffing out TNT at the
Look
airport.
what I found.
Finally, somebody's put some fucking bacon in a purse. It's usually, it's a bunch of methamphetamine. Like the stories that canine shepherd was told. Hello, as he was walking back into the kennel. Hello, doing a thing with his paws where he was holding it over his head. Yes. Hey, Bob, what were you sniffing today? A hobo's ass? Interesting. Let me tell you what I just sniffed. Bacon. 3 pounds of bacon. And then there must be that conversation when they're bringing the bacon back to the, they have to put it in the evidence room.
Yep.
And then there's the bad German shepherd, and he's like, what if that bacon got lost somewhere between here and the evidence room?
3 pounds.
Yeah,
That's right. It's going to go bad.
yeah. No one's going to find that. And then the dog has a scheme where he needs the bacon. He's talking to his captain. He needs to take the bacon back out. How are we going to catch more junkies without bacon, Cappy?
That's how we catch them.
You got to trust me that bacon. And then the captain does that thing. The captain's like a schnauzer, and the captain's like, listen. If that bacon, he's a black lab.
Yeah.
He's a fat black lab.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen to me. If so much as one strip of that bacon is missing, when it comes back, it's going to be your ass.
And then you're going on corpse duty.
I'll lift your collar. That's right. You'll be sniffing out corpses in New Orleans.
Leave your collar on the desk.
That's right.
I like how this went from a definitely not a Jew to a really decent animated movie.
Yeah, so of course he takes the bacon out. He sets up the deal. It's a Chihuahua who's the front man, and he loses the bacon and has to come back and deal with the huge fat black lab who's screaming, "Shut the door!"
He says to the younger partner, his new younger partner, "Wow, 2.5 pounds of bacon, 2.5 pounds. I thought it was 3 pounds. 2.5 pounds,
or maybe 2 pounds."
So she steals the 3 pounds of bacon.
Yeah.
So again, street value on that's got to be, $18-20. And she's going to go home and listen. First off, maybe this was just to shut her husband up. Like, okay, you wanted me to bring home there's your fucking bacon.
Is that enough for you?
Is that enough fucking bacon? You've been yelling at me to bring home the goddamn bacon since we've been married. Here's your goddamn bacon. I hope you choke on it. Maybe she was literally...
Not another word of the bacon.
I would argue, if she has a decent attorney, that attorney would say, look, my client is high on drugs, and her husband yelled, you've got to start bringing home the bacon or I'll beat the... So she feared for her life, and she was high, so she was a literalist, and she literally brought home the bacon.
Interesting legal strategy. My client is high on drugs.
Right, exactly. Sometimes that works. Sometimes that works. Or if sometimes you get confused. Like after you make the cereal, you put the milk in the cabinet, you put the cereal in the refrigerator. I mean, if this woman were high when she got home with the bacon and the meth, she would have accidentally snorted.
And by the way, they foiled this plan early.
MLT.
Because the following day she would have tried to get out there with 40 head of lettuce and then 1,500 tomato to make the largest BLT. That was her dream.
Florida.
Her dream was to build the largest BLT in Florida, and it was nipped in the bud.
Well, I knew you'd be happy to know that things are just as fucked up in Florida as they've ever been.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's been a couple days, but I thought it'd be worth discussing with you guys the new crop of stars on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, I've been out of the loop.
Here's a phrase I never thought I would say. Dame Elizabeth Taylor has been tweeting, but she has. She has a favorite of the dance. Liz Taylor. Yeah.
She got a dame?
Yeah, I guess she's a dame.
Makes sense.
All right.
She's got a favorite of the new crop,
Mm-hmm.
and her favorite is model Kathy Ireland.
No way.
According to her Twitter feed, I'm so excited to see Kathy Ireland on Dancing with the Stars. She is so beautiful. She added, to watch her in movement will be a golden chance to see beauty in action and grace, which is what that lady is all about.
Really?
Yes.
She was a swimsuit model in the 90s or 80s, 90s.
Action star.
She did
the football movie.
She did a shitty football movie, Necessary
Roughness.
Roughness,
Yep.
where she plays a kicker who waddles up to the ball and barely strikes it with the right foot, and then, of course, they cut to the ball sailing through the goal post at 50 yards. As far as I know, horrible actress, and then I guess designs furniture or something, but I think it's one of those things where she just puts her name on an end table or something.
Sure. Yeah. Here one.
But either way, why the fuck is Liz Taylor pulling for...
Very bizarre. Also taking to his Twitter feed is former Republican Congressman Tom DeLay, saying, "I think you'll be impressed by my moves."
Oh, he's dancing. So who's the roster?
Okay, you got Melissa Joan Hart, the actress. Sabrina, exactly.
Right.
As for the athletes...
Never hot, by the way. On my list of never hot that people thought were hot.
She's going to do very well in the Jenny Garth mode, though, because she's a mom, and she had to lose the baby weight, and then she was on the cover of People. Michael Irvin.
Ooh, Michael
strong.
Irvin.
Strong.
Former Dallas Cowboy.
Sure.
Ashley Hamilton.
Who's that?
Well, that's a good question. He is...
George Hamilton's
yes, and he was married to Shannon Doherty briefly. Now, they list him...
Oh, he's likable.
And they list him as actor... You're going to get pissed. Actor, singer-songwriter, comedian.
Well, comedian in that we're making fun of his singing and songwriting.
There you go.
I mean, when you're laughing at a guy's song, then that does kind of make you a comedian. And look, when everyone in McCabe's is burst out in laughter after your acoustic set, that does kind of make you a comedian songwriter.
If you inspire laughter, you were there for him.
He probably gets more laughs than a lot of open micers at Yuck Yucks.
Absolutely.
Debbie Mazar, who you know from Entourage.
Sure.
Aaron Carter, singer.
Aaron Carter. Oh, that guy.
He's a kid, blonde kid.
Yeah, he pissed me off.
The younger brother of Backstreet Boy.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Well, he nailed a lot of hot young ass, and he made me mad. I found him to be greasy and very Floridian. The whole Carters, by the way, they're all. That's everything that's wrong. I bet they all have bacon in their purses.
All the boy bands feel like they have bacon in their purse.
And they'll start in Florida,
They do.
and everything is and he's very greasy, and he's just, it seems like a zero.
Louis Vito. Do you know who that guy is?
No.
He's a snowboarder.
Oh, of course.
Donny Osmond.
Also snowboarder.
Who's going to do very well.
Yeah.
You'll remember his sister was on. She fainted.
Sure.
A singer named Maya. And then someone we all know, Chuck Liddell.
Wow.
Who I thought he was so nice when he was on our show.
Chuck's a nice guy, but Chuck's kind of a madman, and Chuck likes to booze it up and party and hit it pretty good. So we shall definitely see. That'll be interesting because the guy, obviously an athlete, but will it transfer? We'll see.
More of a striker than a grappler. That's all I remember from my Chuck Liddell interviews.
I would. Chuck's going to be fun, and the better list. The better list are the people who passed.
Right.
They wanted a politician, and obviously Tom DeLay was not their first choice. I think Bill Clinton was their first choice.
Oh, sure.
Oh, they have a long listen. They'd rather have Ted Kennedy than Tom DeLay.
Right. Also Macy Gray.
Oh, really?
And swimmer Natalie Coughlin.
Macy Gray, I love her voice. She seems nutty.
Yep.
She does seem a little nutty.
It's going to be interesting to see how that one works out.
No one's as nutty as Mindy McCready.
Love Mindy McCready.
She's a country singer, right?
Yeah, Brian's a big fan. We were always doing Mindy McCready stories, and I thought, well, maybe we've heard the last of Mindy McCready.
You and I are both big fans, but for different reasons. I actually like her music, and you love her.
I like her lifestyle. Yeah.
And we don't know if Brian's actually a fan of country music or he's just agreeing with me when I talk about how much I love country music.
Brown nosing with
Never
you.
stop talking about my love of country music, and who knows what Brian really likes.
You me, boss. You me.
Well, let me just hit on a couple of Mindy McCready's highlights. Let's see. She was arrested and charged with attempted murder after beating and choke. Oh, no, that was her ex. He was arrested after beating and choking her. Oh, that's horrible. She was found unconscious in a hotel in Florida after attempting suicide.
Florida?
Yeah. Why would you try to kill yourself there? She was hospitalized for a drug overdose after washing down a large amount of undisclosed drugs with alcohol. Then she was pregnant with that guy who tried to kill her. She attempted to kill herself for a second time by overdosing on antidepressants. Then in 2008, paramedics were called to her home in Nashville after another suicide attempt. They transported her to the hospital. Anyway, where does she end up? She ends up in Celebrity Rehab.
Nice.
Best possible
really?
place.
Well,
Yeah.
now, Brian, you say she's a good artist.
She was. She had a strong debut album back in like 1997, and then it all fell apart. So this is related, obviously.
She does have a really good voice. And obviously some soulfulness to put into her music.
Like I said, one great album back in 1997.
Yeah, I talked to Dr. Drew, actually, yesterday. Had an uncomfortable conversation with him, marginally, about... He said, well, it is actually about to get more uncomfortable when I say this in front of you guys. He said, well, we got to get together. We got to go to dinner. I said, I'm wide open. Whenever you guys want to get together, we'll get together. He said, how about this Friday? I said, that's no good. That's Lynette's throwing her birthday party. And then there was a pause.
Uh-oh.
And I said, I'll see you there. And he said, no, I was never invited.
Oh, no.
And I said, oh. And then I did the same thing I'm going to do with you guys, which is I farmed out everything. I just told our friends, just go invite whoever.
I've been invited.
You want to
So
invite. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, thank Christ.
Better or worse.
So, nice job, girls, not fucking inviting Dr. Drew.
Wow.
There was an oversight. And then Drew said, well, maybe he got invited, maybe it's his wife, and he was out of town on a cruise, so we'll figure it out. But it is was
Well, hopefully we'll
uncomfortable.
see him on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this was all a terrible oversight.
I'm sure too.
Because
All
we'll
right.
have to quiz him about, this...
Mindy McCready. Yeah, I mean, he says this thing's unbelievable. Actually, he says the sex addict one is going to be, like, off the charts.
Cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's the latest. Eric Dane is an actor. You may know him. I think he's Mick Steamy
Yes.
on Grey's.
Yeah.
And he's married to Rebecca Gayheart.
Yeah.
She's still around?
Well, yeah, she's making a comeback right now because this is a huge story. There's a sex tape.
Oh, no. She's got... yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. She's got the same nickname Manny Pacquiao does.
Which is?
It'd be too cruel for me to really explain that joke. So anyone is just doing the math on the chick from the Noxzema commercial and Manny Pacquiao. That'll be our own quiet little joke that you can just go. You can go off and Google and you just Google her and then Google Manny Pacquiao's nickname. Not Pac-Man, by the way.
Not Pac-Man. Now, does this have to do with her unfortunate hit and run?
I'm not sure if she ran.
She hit.
I think she hit, and again, that wasn't. There's killed a young Latino child. But by the way, if you hit someone in L.A., they're going to be Mexican, so it's not like she's gunning for him. Right. I mean, if you're not in someone's living room. And the second thing is I think the kid she was like on her cell phone, and the kid just like ran out in front of the
Terrible
car.
accident, obviously.
Horrible accident, and it definitely can't judge because could have happened to anyone, including us, we know, and us, right? You're talking on a cell phone. The kid should have been supervised, should have been like walked to school or something like that. I guess she was on her cell phone. I don't know if she was like rolling through a stop sign, but the kid like ran out in front of a stop in front of the car. Let's see.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah,
Ooh.
9-year-old Jorge Cruz Jr. He was jaywalking across the street in Los Angeles, and let's see, child was walking home from school and ran across the street.
She faced criminal charges.
Yeah. Now there was a vehicle that was in front of Gayheart stopped, and this is what happens. Okay. Here's what happens, and this is why it could have happened to me. And I got a ticket for this very thing in Santa Monica. Every asshole in the city is driving an SUV, and every other asshole is jaywalking, which I don't mind. Like, jaywalk all you want, just don't make the car stop to jaywalk. Like, stand around, wait for an opening, and then just you dart across the street like one of those little river mosquitoes. But what you don't do is go out in the street and get cars to stop for you. Because what happened to her, and it could happen to any of us, there's an SUV parked, and it stopped inexplicably in the middle of the street. And there's so many assholes in this town that don't know how to drive that if I came up on that guy too, I would just go around that guy, especially if there's 2 lanes. So she just goes around the guy, but what she can't see is a kid walking in front of the SUV. I almost killed somebody on the way home from Dancing with the Stars. I did the same thing. I slingshotted into the right lane, and I was going to go right around this SUV at a signal right when it turned, and there was a couple of chicks just walking right and stepped right in front of me. I couldn't see them. Pedestrians way too goddamn casual in this city. And yes, use the crosswalk, or I don't care if you jaywalk, but don't do that thing where you walk out and then do that thing where you start conducting traffic. I don't say this kid did that. I'm just on a Jag now. Where you walk out and you stand in the middle of Ventura Boulevard, now you're going to wait and the car in front of you is going to stop for you. And it's like, oh, fucking just wait till it's open and run across.
Now, do I even want to know what Manny Pacquiao's nickname is? I know his dad killed and ate his dog. We learned that when we had his trainer on.
Yes.
That's all. That's something I'll never forget. Well,
they can go look for it.
Let's just look it up.
It's too cruel.
And that was Teresa and Brian back in 2009 on the Adam Carolla podcast. Stick around for part 2 because we got Chris Kattan, Greg Fitzsimmons, and more coming up.